Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining us in this short webinar, which is going to look at the product relaunch of Google Pay. So let's get started. Google has announced a major relaunch of Google Pay. And we're talking now when this webinar is going on mid-November 2020. Google Pay, which up to now is a relatively simple tap-to-pay app, will now become a complete financial service, competing with the likes of Venmo, Mint, Apple Pay, and even some of the banks. The new Google Pay is already available as an early access app in the Google Play Store in the US. And this is alongside the original and much less ambitious Google Pay, which has now been tagged as the old version. In addition to the simple tap-to-pay features offered in the previous app, users of the new Google Pay can directly link their bank accounts and credit cards to the app. This allows for things like AI-driven insights into spending, into savings, replacing much of the functionality of your own bank's online banking app with Google Pay and quite a lot more. So this webinar is an introduction into the new features of Google Pay. What is Google Pay? Well, Google Pay was originally styled GPay, and it's a digital wallet platform and online payment system that was developed by Google to power in-app and tap-to-pay purchases on mobile devices, allowing users to make payments with Android phones, tablets, and watches. The initial release was on September 11th, 2015, and it was released as Android Pay. Users in the United States could also use an iOS device, albeit with very limited functionality. In addition to this, the service also supported passes such as coupons, boarding passes, student ID cards, even tickets, movie tickets, public transportation tickets, store cards, and loyalty cards. For the uninitiated amongst you, an iOS device refers to any of Apple's hardware that runs the iOS mobile operating system. Now this includes iPhones, iPads, iPods. Now, as of January 2018, the old Android Pay and Google Wallet were unified into a single pay system called Google Pay. Android Pay was rebranded and renamed as Google Pay. It also took over the branding of Google's Chrome autofill feature, and Google Pay adopted the features of both Android Pay and Google Wallet through its in-store, peer-to-peer, and online payment services. The rebranded service provided a new API that allowed merchants to add the payment services to websites, to apps, to Stripe, Braintree, and Google Assistant. These services allowed the users to use the payment cards that they had on file in their Google accounts. So, let's look at Google Pay's 2020 relaunch. As we've said, in November 2020, a major new relaunch was announced. Google Pay's massive relaunch makes it an all-encompassing money app with a new logo, which is up there on the screen, and it's a major redesign with a strong emphasis on personal finance. Google has relaunched its Google Pay on both the Android and iOS platforms. Like similar phone-based contactless payment services, Google Pay, or Android Pay as it was then known, started out as a basic replacement for your credit card. Now, over time, the company added a few more features on top of that, but the overall focus up till now never really changed. And after 5 years in the market, Google Pay today has about 150 million users in 30 different countries. With this new update and redesign, Google is keeping all the core features intact, but it's also taking the service in a new direction with a strong emphasis on helping you manage your personal finances and maybe get a deal here and there as well. It's going to include the tap-to-pay, peer-to-pay, personal finance aggregation, customizable deals, and even a full banking service. Google is also partnering with 11 banks to launch a new kind of bank account sometime in 2021. It's going to be called Plex. And these mobile first bank accounts will have no monthly fees or overdraft charges or minimum balances. The banks themselves will own the accounts, but Google Pay's app will be the main conduit for managing these accounts. The launch partners for this new venture to come in the next year are Citibank and Stanford Federal Credit Union. So now let's look at some details of the new Google Pay. The relaunch of Google Pay for both Android and iOS includes a big collection of new features. It turns the app from something that most people just thought of as tap-to-pay card or a card warehouse or peer-to-peer payment system into something much more sophisticated. The new app began rolling out across the United States on 18 November 2020, and the new version of the app is going to have 3 tabs. Tab number 1 is Pay, which includes peer-to-peer payments as well as your transaction history using Tap to Pay. The second one is Explore, which will be in a place where Google will offer deals and discounts. And the third tab, Insights, will allow users to connect their bank accounts to get a searchable overview of their finances. Users will even be given the option to allow Google Pay to crawl their Gmail inbox and their Google Photos account to look for receipts. Google will use OCR technology to auto-scan them and integrate them into the user's finance tracking. And then, sometime in 2021, Google will partner with some banks to directly offer online checking and savings accounts inside Google Pay, a service that they are calling Plex. So let's take a deeper dive now into the details that we have. Google Pay, as I said, has now got 3 new tabs with new features in each. Essentially, that's what you're seeing up on the screen. Not all of these services are strictly new for Google, but this will mark the first time that they've unified it into a single app. In doing so, Google Pay is now arguably a direct competitor in a wide array of other apps and services, including Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, PayPal, Venmo, Square Cash, into its Mint, Simplify, Truebill, Shop, and also online banks like Ally. So there's a lot of companies that will have to contend with Google making a high-profile push into their market. Now, all of the advanced features are opt-in. So if you prefer to simply use it as it currently exists today, let's say just as tap to pay or on Android or peer-to-peer payments on the iPhone, you should be able to continue to do that. Even so, this is a huge expansion of capabilities and data collection in a Google app that is likely to raise some privacy concerns. Google says that it has a policy not to sell or share data to third parties, and that it will not share your transaction history with the rest of Google for targeting ads. It will also have a first use experience that will present a series of privacy prompts and setting options. Unlike Apple Pay, it will give you full control over what you can and cannot do. Google's servers will have access to your data, so it can be analyzed and made searchable for you in the app, though the company assures that it will be strongly encrypted. A stranger and perhaps telling privacy option is that those who want to get personalized details will have the option to agree to a 3-month trial of allowing Google to analyze their transaction histories to customize their offers. After the 3 months, they'll be prompted if they want to keep using that part of the service. So let's look now at what more we know about 3 of the new tabs. Let's look to start with at Pay. This is the center and primary tab for Google Pay, and it will combine a couple of existing Google Pay services, tap to pay and peer-to-peer payments, as we've already mentioned. It's organized to provide more information than was given before. The first set of icons will be for your contacts, and tapping on any one of them will open up a chat-like view of your payments to each other. You'll also be able to set up group payments, putting multiple people in a chat and letting them send and request money from each other. So if you're splitting a restaurant bill or have a group of roommates sharing bills, you can use this. It will also track who has and hasn't paid their share and let you tap a button to pester them. In other words, it's not unlike Venmo at all. Underneath people are all of the businesses you've paid using Google Pay, either with tap to pay or the browser-based version. As with people, opening it will give a chat-like view of your transaction. If you have a loyalty or reward card for a given store, Google Pay should be able to associate it with that store. Retailers will also be able to float offers up this chat in addition to the main tab for deals. Of course, Google Pay will still do what most Android phone owners use it for at the moment, simply making payments via NFC tap to pay. But Google is also ramping up other ways to pay with this app. Underneath people and businesses are a couple of new buttons such as Get Gas or Order Food. The food option ties into Google's existing food ordering system that is compatible with enough systems for the company to claim it works with over 100,000 existing restaurants. You'll also be able to pay for gas or parking directly in the app instead of punching through the options on the gas pump or parking lot pay station. Google says it should work for some 30,000 separate locations. If we go to the Explore tab, this is a truly new tab in Google Pay, and it's a place where Google will aggregate deals for you. By default, it will just surface generic offers here, but you will have the option to allow Google's algorithms to analyze your transactions in order to customize what offers appear. In what appears to be a nod towards privacy concerns, it's going to offer you an option to opt in to a 3-month trial of the service. Since it's a free service to begin with, the trial consists mainly of a reminder prompt that will pop up asking you if you want to keep using it. Google says that it will not share any data with these retailers, though of course if you end up using one of these offers, the retailer will know you did because you're spending your money there. All of the deals that Google has shown as a way of illustration, the Explore function consisted of cashback offers. That's an important point because the cash that comes back will go into a Google Pay account. You'll need to transfer it out if you want to deposit it into your bank account. One very clever feature for these offers that you simply need to tap to activate. And when you do, you can associate the offer with any credit card you have stored in Google Pay. That way, to redeem the offer, you just need to use the credit card and the rest will be handled automatically. No need to remember a coupon code. Finally, the Explore tab has a QR and barcode scanner on the top. The idea here is simple. When you're at a store, you can use it to scan a product and automatically launch the Google shopping search for it to buy it elsewhere. Google Pay users will also be able to scan each other's personal barcodes to send money to one another without needing to exchange their actual contact details. And now we move to the third tab, Insights. The rightmost tab in Google Pay is a place where the app will provide a lightweight version of apps like Mint and Simplify that present much of your financial information all in one place. Google's take on it is called Insights, and as you might expect, it heavily integrates both search and Google's ability to process data with its algorithms. After you connect your banking and credit card accounts, Insights will begin to show you reports of your spending and saving as well as upcoming bills. It does this by scanning through your transactions rather than needing you to manually enter or categorize things. It works with standard checking, savings, debit, and credit cards. In fact, there are 2 more data sources that you can choose to share with Google Pay. The one is your Gmail account, and the second is your Google Photos account. If you turn on either, Google Pay will automatically scan both of these for receipts. With Photos, it can use OCR to automatically read and receipt and associate it with the correct transaction involved. And it will work by using natural language in its search process. In demos, Google has shown searches, for instance, for Mexican restaurants and shirts that each brought up results that wouldn't necessarily, they say, have worked by searching through more traditional banking or credit card apps. You can also chain searches together to narrow down what you are looking for. And because it's 2020, the Google Pay app will also feature something akin to stories in Instagram. Tap on the blue icons at the top of the inside screen and you'll get brief summaries of financial information Google Pay thinks might be useful to you, like upcoming bills or how much money you've sent directly to friends or large transactions and so on. In all, Insights doesn't seem to be as full-featured as some of the apps it's designed to compete with, but it seems Google is betting the convenience of having everything in one place is going to be more than enough. And that brings us to Plex, which is only going to be added in 2021. Plex is going to be a new banking service. It's going to allow you to do basic checking and savings in the app, engaging directly with an online bank. Now, this isn't Google directly offering banking services, to be clear, but instead Google will be letting banks use Google Pay as their banking app. To do this, Google has lined up 11 banks and credit unions to partner with, allowing you to pick the one that you prefer. It also says that the checking and savings accounts will have no monthly fees, overdraft charges, or minimum balances. Customers will also get a goals feature with basic money management targets and the ability to set up repeating tasks like transferring money to savings accounts. Because this is Google, information about Google Pay and Plex was leaked ahead of the official announcement. 9 to 5 Google has already scoured through the app and found details on Plex. Banks that are being included as partners are people like Citi, Stanford Federal Credit Union, SFFCU, BMO, and BBVA. So, in summary, the changes to Google Pay are very ambitious. If you opt into all its features, and thereby you trust Google to keep all your data private and secure, you'll have access to a rich set of well-integrated features across several different ways of looking at your spending and saving. It will also afford Google plenty of opportunities to make money, of course. Though it won't be sharing any data with the ads division, there's no shortage of ways to get commissions to take tiny percentages off transactions. And because Google appears to have many partnerships with different retailers, there's likely to be much money in, as they say, them thar hills. The Explore tab explicitly labels its offers as sponsored. As a user, you should only care about how Google monetizes its products insofar as it affects your experience and your privacy. So Google has quick answers for the obvious questions about what will happen to your financial data. Google's policy is not to share data with other divisions within Google and not to share it with third parties. Your data is encrypted, of course, and interestingly, you can't access the app on the web. It's only available on Android or iPhone, and only one device at a time to boot. The app will also have a single place for managing all privacy settings for all its services and offers. So whether you opt into any of Google Pay's new features will depend a lot on how much you trust Google to have good answers for the non-obvious questions. As usual, which service that gathers tons of data, those are the questions that matter more, I guess. So that summary is what's coming in the new Google Pay. I want to thank you all for joining us on this short webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.